You are joining for story number 5. And this story has to do with stress. So, if you've been following along on my page recently, live, I have been sharing that I've been experiencing stress. Or if you listened to the last episode, I've been experiencing a bit of depression and ruminating. So, this can come about because of stress, which I think is exactly what happened here with me. And more specifically, stress comes when we're not prepared. So, if you're feeling stressed about an event coming up, or I was taking a test, I have a lot of to do things on my list, and that is where the stress was coming from. I was also traveling, staying with old in an old location. I was there was a lot going on, but the main thing is that I was unprepared and I had a lot to do. Because all the other things, as much as like ruminating is looking at the past, it's not anything relevant. So it shouldn't affect. When we're ruminating, we call it ruminating because it's from the past and it's affecting our day to day, our current present feelings, and in a negative way, right? Otherwise, we're just like reminiscing on the past. So to move into this story today is about stress. And now that I'm back home, I've gotten some of those things done, and I look back and I realize that I was so stressed out because I wasn't prepared. So that is absolutely why this podcast is called Depression is Not for the Weak, is because we can't always be prepared for everything that's coming our way. If we were always prepared, we would be on like high alert always. And we like if you're always prepared for anything, then you're not putting yourself in situations that are challenging you or pushing you outside of your comfort zone. So it's good if you're not completely prepared because it means you're pushing yourself. But it also means that stress may come on, and we want to know how to combat that stress and still live a healthy lifestyle. So now that I got a few of those things done, you know, I was pushing off some of those to-do lists because I didn't want to do them, right? Like I had to, um, the biggest one I think for me was buying flights and hotels and rental cars for our upcoming business trip. And I didn't know how to do it. This was my first time buying all of those things with points, and I ended up saving 67% on the entire cost because I used points and bonuses, like all these little tricks with the credit cards. But before I did that, I was stressed out because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And it was a bit of a long process because I had to call all these different airlines. Which credit cards are you affiliated with? That's not going to work. That's not going to work. It took a whole day of working at it, which is why I was pushing it off. But the thing is that we push these things off, we push it off, we push it off. Just like, let's say you have to pay a bill, or you have to make a phone call, or you have to go see a relative, or you have to speak to your boss about something uncomfortable, or there's all these things that are on our to-do list, like not even on the forefront. Maybe it's subconscious that we have to do, and they're causing us stress. And it actually just festers. And we can't always tell what it is that's causing us stress. So that's why if you think of something, just do it. That's what the story for me, the lesson for me today was that if I had just started the process and not waited until the last moment to create the travel plans, then it wouldn't have been lingering on me this entire time. And I would have been enjoying last week a little bit more. Okay, but here's the thing is that I was out of town. I didn't have good internet. Like, this is my narrative that I was explaining to myself. Everything was taking 10 times longer because the internet was bad. I didn't know what to do. So during that time, I had to come up with skills to keep my head in check. So I talk about needing tools in your toolkit. And that's what this is about. Because you can't always be prepared, like I mentioned. So you have to have tools to keep your mind at ease when you can't be completely prepared or do everything you want to be doing. But let me actually jump into a different idea. Sometimes it's like in the middle of the night, I have something I need to do, I'm stressing about it, and my mind is going about it. It would actually be easier to just get up and do that thing instead of continuing to force yourself to lay in bed, try and force yourself not to think about it, try and force yourself to do it tomorrow, and then the next day you conveniently forget until you get back in bed. So sometimes when we can, it's best to just get these things done. But when we can't, then how can we make sure we're not using excuses? If we're just using excuses, because my excuse was that the internet was bad, I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't have the time, there were other things that were more important. But these were all excuses because I was feeling the stress. Because I was feeling stress. That's why it was an excuse. Because if I had just done it and felt the way I do now, then that stress would have gone away. It would have been an easier time while I was traveling. But instead, I had all these things piling up, and I chose to continue to say, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. So, moving forward, when you're stressed, it means that you're not prepared. So, how can you prepare yourself? If I have a speech coming up, or an interview, or um, a trip, how can I prepare myself so that I'm not stressed and I'm more at ease? Because we are in the driver's seat. No matter what, you are in the driver's seat. You are in control of your feelings, of your emotions, of what's going on in your life. So, how can you prepare yourself? Because we cannot control the people around us who are putting their input into what we're doing, or um, or even like not understanding us. We can't control if someone understands what we're trying to say, but what we can control is making sure we're aware of what we need in the moment and being present. The more you can practice being present and checking in with yourself, am I experiencing depression? Am I experiencing perfectionism or ruminating? or stress or overwhelm or second guessing myself, not making decisions. All of these things, if you're able to catch them in the moment, then you can make sure you're comfortable in the present moment. So, to summarize, this story has been about when you're feeling stressed out, it means you're not prepared. And when you're not prepared, that means there's something you can do that puts you back in the driver's seat, that puts you back in control of how you're feeling and puts you back in control of not being stressed out. Because if you're stressed, you're not prepared, so prepare yourself and recognize if you're making excuses.